Good morning, everyone. So we're looking at a place called Keeler, and that is Owens Lake. It's kind of interesting is they're actually mining the minerals out of the bottom of it. There's a big plant there. I don't know if it's salt or what it is, eh? So it's not really a dry lake. There's still some water in it, but not a lot of water in it. So we are going to Cerro Gordo. So I wasn't actually going to go there, but we're in the neighborhood, so we're going to drop by and we'll have a look at Cerro Gordo. So we just parked down at the bottom of the road, and it's about 8 miles up there. So we just take the side by side, and we'll go up there and we'll show you what we can see up at Cerro Gordo. Most of it's probably mental. You don't like dark places that are wet and you're claustrophobic. You have a bunch of phobias and stuff. It's not going to be the place for you. Hi everyone, so we finally made it up to Cerro Gordo. This is something you guys have been asked for a long time. They're looking forward to having us go up there, so we were able to make it up there. We're in Death Valley and stopped in and seen Brent there, and like the view is just really spectacular up there. We were really amazed how stunning it is to get up there and see this place. Definitely worth the trip up there, and big thanks to Brent. Really enjoyed the tour around there and the visit with Brent, and thanks to Sharon for these awesome pictures too. So the pictures don't do it justice. You should go up there and have a look at the ghost town, meet Brent, the man himself, and see some of the stuff that we've seen up there. So first of all, we're going to take you for a drive up there, and we'll show you what the nasty road is like on the way up there. So we just have the GoPro in the side by side here, and just show you what the road is like. Beautiful drive up there. There's Owens Lake in the background there. So like I say, 8 miles, I think about 3,000 feet in elevation, or maybe even more, I'm not sure. Yeah, so it's really rough. There's no real places to if you meet another vehicle, there's very few places to pass another vehicle. So I'd never recommend taking a trailer up there. You'd have a heck of a time. The road was really washboardy on the way up there. I wouldn't recommend going up there without a four-wheel drive vehicle. And also you got snow and stuff up there, so definitely harsh conditions getting up there. So if you're not used to driving back roads and stuff, don't go up there. You'll find yourself getting yourself into trouble. But like you say, a beautiful drive up there. If you can take a side by side or anything like that, take it up there. There's the road just basically goes up to the mine, and then it really deteriorates after that. So you can barely even get a Jeep past the mine. So there's not. You can't camp up there anywhere, so it's kind of really limited as far as accommodations. Basically, it's just a day trip. You can drive up there. Eventually, they're going to have the hotel up there. I don't know how that was going to work with more increased traffic. Even back in the old days, it was a pretty treacherous journey, which is why they built this tram, because they didn't want the road was just too nasty. So there's a tram going down, and it's the coolest thing, this tram. So as you're driving up there from the very bottom at Owens Lake, you look on your right-hand side, maybe a mile or two from the very bottom, and you look carefully up a draw. You'll see a big tram cable and tram towers and stuff at the very top there, and there's a bucket still sitting up there full of ore from the old days. So we're pretty excited. I almost missed that, when I was driving up. Sharon pointed it out, and we stopped, and we took the drone out and got a picture of that. So hope you guys aren't too seasick from going through this canyon. And we'll hop in the drone here, and we'll show you these real cool tram towers and stuff on the way up to Cerro Gordo. Like I say, the scenery is just stunning going up there. It's well worth it just to see it for the scenery. So here's this canyon up there. You can see there's no trees down here. It's very dry, but also cold and hot. Very, very harsh environment. So there you go. You can see the tram bucket at the very top there. It's quite a long ways to the bottom. It must be. I don't know how far it is to the bottom of the canyon. It's a long ways down. And there's just this one bucket sitting up there. So Brent actually hiked along this tram thing, and he got He's got a couple of these old buckets up at his museum there for you guys to have a look at, and this is kind of cool because it's still full of ore. The one wheel you can see is still on the cable, so that is called the track cable where it sits on. The one that's broken is called the traction cable. The traction cable pulls the buckets up and down. Actually, what it does is act as brakes so it doesn't go too fast. So it's derailed off of the traction cable, but it's still sitting there. So it's still full of ore. You know, it would have been the silver ore that they would have mined out of Cerro Gordo, or maybe the zinc ore, because they mined zinc in the later years in Cerro Gordo. And there's huge stations up there. You can see the stations on both sides of the tram there. They're still intact. Long ways above the valley floor. That's a difficult place to get to, but it's pretty cool flying the drone up there. So there's Owens Lake in the background. We'll talk with Brent a little bit more about Owens Lake. That's kind of a fascinating story. It was a huge lake, and they drained that to divert the water to Los Angeles, which caused lots of environmental problems in the area for the last 100 years. So we'll discuss that with Brent. We weren't originally going to go up to Cerro Gordo because there's a lot of controversy there with the channel and Brent about mining in the area, which they've been doing there for a very long time. But it's more of just a case of him not being informed and a lot of people kind of getting really excited about really nothing. So we had really enjoyed our time up there, and we had a really good talk with Brent, and we're really glad we went up there. And I think it's worthwhile going up there. He's very passionate about history. The scenery is really interesting, and we're really glad we went up there. So this is it. We're heading to Cerro Gordo, and we'll show you around the town and have a talk with Brent. All right, so welcome to Cerro Gordo. It's not really accurate to call it a ghost town since it hasn't really been abandoned. There's been somebody there for, I think, for a very long time, caretakers that lived there. So this is a 5-ton truck that Brent has, and they use that to haul water up there. So there's not very much water. There's a little bit of water to get out of the bottom of the Union shaft, but the pump, they had a lot of problem with the pump, and there's not very much water, so they just haul water up in totes. This is the American Hotel that he's rebuilding. They hadn't been doing any work on it for a while. They're waiting for some permits, so all they had is some of the foundations and the basement walls up there. We'll show you the stuff on the ground here. This is the Bradshaw house. So Brent lives in that house most of the time. And then all the volunteers and stuff, they live in the bunkhouse. So the volunteers come up for 2-3 days, whatever, and do some work up there on a rotating basis. So there's somebody up there helping them out most of the time. He's not up there alone all that much. And there's a bunch of the other buildings. They've had quite a few volunteers kind of fixed them up. This is the brothel. So and when you look at the building, they're not like they're all fixed up. They're all kind of dilapidated, but they were sitting flat on the ground before. So it's kind of cool. They look old, but they're kind of fixed up. So this is where the Union Mine. This is where the tram started right there. There's a big ore bin there, and the Union Mine is above that. So this is really the only shaft that's really still left, and it was the main shaft. So it goes down, I can't remember, about 900 feet, I think, to the very bottom. So there's a head frame there, a very small hoist that goes down, and an ore car that just sat in that hoist, and that's where all the ore came up out of the mine. So the hoist is really interesting at Cerro Gordo. So originally it ran on steam. You can see that big stack there. There was a steam engine there that ran the hoist, and then it switched over to electricity. These days it's hydraulic, so they don't have the big power up there anymore. They had about 100 horsepower motor there a long time ago. So this is basically where all the remaining workings, the only way to get into any of the mines in Cerro Gordo is go down the Union shaft. I was always curious as why they didn't just go down the ladders, because the ladders seemed really well, but we'll get into that. We'll explain that to you, and we'll show the hoist to you. So we didn't go underground at Cerro Gordo. Brent told us there wasn't really anywhere else to explore where they hadn't been before, so there was no real point in getting to areas that had already been fully documented on his channel. Something that a lot of people don't know is Brent is actually a fairly shy person that kind of keeps to himself, so being thrust into the limelight was a little difficult for him. So there's been a tremendous advantages to the YouTube channel and all the popularity that it's brought to Cerro Gordo. So he's been able to do a lot with the town, and he really enjoys showing it to these people. But it's had its downsides too. He's had break-ins, people stealing stuff, and all these death threats and all these different things. So you know, it's had its good sides and its bad sides. But another thing that people don't really realize is he really doesn't make any money off of this. He's just a very passionate individual, and he's taken this on as his kind of a mission in life to preserve Cerro Gordo for the next generation. So we really commend him for doing that. And he's taken. He realizes, that the YouTube has done a tremendous amount and the fortune and fame and whatever has done a lot for what he's doing, but he's also had to pay the price for that. So we appreciate that, all the sacrifices he's making. Okay, so now we're going to go for a little walk around town, and then we're going to meet up with Brent a little while, and we'll talk to him. So that is where the American Hotel is kind of being built. So, when you see the video and stuff, it looks like maybe Cerro Gordo's maybe bigger than it actually is. When you get here, you think, well, there's not really that much to it. But I'll have a look around. And there's just a volunteer here today, and he said, yeah, just you can wander around and have a look around, no problem. Said the buildings are open, so let's have a look and see what we can find. So this is the general store. Oh, there's a nice chunk of galena here. Yeah. They got a pretty neat museum here, and these are some of these lead bars. Cerro Gordo, it says on them. And this was the general store. I got lots of stuff here. Can have a look at some of it. Hercules powder. Dynamite boxes. See other mining stuff they got around here. There's an old camera. Lots of boxes of dynamite. The old respirators. Old newspapers. Cerro Gordo. Ghost town caught between 2 centuries, a couple books. Yeah. Some old bottles and stuff here. Cerro Gordo Mines. Atlas Powder Company, that's one of the newer ones because Atlas bought Giant Powder Company out. I got some neat old cases here, similar to the cases that we got in our museum. Some canteens, drills. What we'd really like to do is get into the Union Shaft. That's what we really want to have a look at. Quite a few buildings here. A little outdoor display area. There's a tram bucket. This may be one of the same ones that go off that tram line. Pretty small Montgomery. Pretty small buckets. Might have been the same as a full one we saw on the tram. There's a hoist. And some sleighs. Interesting. They use them in the winter time or what? Alright, so I'd really like to get to where the hoist is, which I'm thinking. I don't know if it's going to be up there or not. Hard to say. That looks like the church. So we're just a little further up the hill here, and this is where the shaft house is. This to me is kind of most interesting thing here. So they got a bunch of old army trucks here, or parts of. And there's the hoist. So there's the Union Shaft.
Where they get into the mine, I'm not sure what's up there. Oh, there's the shaft right there. All right, so we found our way into the Union shaft. So this is this sketchy looking hoist that they used to go down the shaft. And I personally don't think I'd be too crazy about it. Old skip, as you can see. And the cable looks good and everything. The problem is this thing gets cut in here all the time, I guess. Let's have a look down the shaft. Oh yeah. So right below us there's a trap door. And there's ladders, so I always kind of wonder why the heck you wouldn't just go down the ladders, on ropes. Be the easiest way. Because these old shafts, the problem is, once the shaft kind of gets a little wonky, these hoists that get stuck in it. So if you're going down, it gets stuck, and the guy running the hoist doesn't notice, then pretty soon you're not on cable anymore, and you got a whole bunch of slack. And then all of a sudden maybe you can let go and it goes screaming down there and hits the end of the shaft, and by that time it's got too much weight on and it breaks the cable. So that's the the problem with these old hoists. And then we want to see how we've got this hoist set up, because I can't believe that it takes 45 minutes to get to the bottom. Oh, I see, okay. Yeah, so this hoist, it's just set up to a hydraulic. It's set up in hydraulics, it's not set up. It's got a tiny little hydraulic pump. Yeah. So this hoist, it's not run the way it usually would have been. Originally this had this great big electric motor, and this hoist just screamed up and down this thing. Now they got a tiny little, here's the rheostats. So they're not using a motor to run the hoist anymore. They got a tiny little hydraulic motor, you can see. That just runs that hoist really slow down. And it goes all the way down to the 900 level. So, I guess it's safe, but that's why it's so slow. What they could do is get a bigger hydraulic motor and a bigger pump and just make the thing work a little better if they were going to use it, but I don't even think they should. So that's the mystery that I was always kind of wondering, is how could this hoist be so slow? There's no way the miners would have ever used a hoist that took 45 minutes to get to the 500 level. So, looking at the hoist here, it's got a little hydraulic motor. So that's pretty safe. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this part of it. And it's just using the original drum, or this was the electric motor that used to run it onto this shaft, so it's a pretty small little setup. No, it'd be nice and quiet too, wouldn't make much noises going down. And they don't need brakes either, because the hydraulics would just stop. But if they had a problem, any kind of a problem with this hydraulic line, that thing would go screaming to the bottom. So I don't think that's very safe, because say if that line all of a sudden broke or started leaking, then it would free spool to the bottom. Which would scare the hell out of me. Now, I don't think I'd want to use that hoist. I think that hoist is just fine for hauling material up and down there, but to use it for anything else, I think is dangerous. My opinion anyhow. Alright, so what else we got here? We got a big compressor. Ingersoll Rand. Looks like there's some ore there. Yeah, pretty heavy too. Probably rich in lead. And I always keep saying this, I don't understand, why would they put a shaft in from the top of the mountain? What possible sense would that make? I mean, they could have went 500 feet lower and then just had an adit going in, which is a lot easier than doing a shaft, especially when you're sinking a shaft, because then you've got to drill down, blast, and then go down and muck it out by hand into buckets and hoist it up the shaft, collar the shaft, just a lot of work. Okay, so here's the town of Cerro Gordo. They've done a pretty good job rebuilding a lot of this kind of stuff, but it's a small area. Okay, so this is the construction that's going on in the American Hotel. So, from what I know, I used to work in doing concrete blocks. That top course there, they're going to put rebar in there and concrete in there. It'd be like a beam. So I'm not sure if that's maybe the foundation, I'm not sure. Going from there. So that's how far our work has progressed on the American Hotel. Looks like it'd be a while before they're ready for guests. I was quite surprised the road to come up here is quite challenging. You know, for someone in anything about a four-wheel drive vehicle. I mean, it's not really steep, but the grade's, you know, pretty aggressive all the way. So that's a good truck for getting up and down here. The problem with that is, with this road being steep as it is, these trucks don't have, the Cummins in mine doesn't have a jake brake, so it doesn't really hold back much. So when you're going down that hill with your foot on the brake all the way, it would make me pretty freaking nervous because it's steep grade. And if you have a runaway, you could just maybe crash into the bank real quick. Yeah, see, they got the same kind of wedge brakes as what we've got on ours. You can't adjust them, so you don't really know if they're an adjustment or not. And no jake, so this looks like it's even older one than I got. He said we could, the doors are unlocked, you can just kind of wander around, do it wherever you want. And then there's a lot of signs that say no trespassing, so I'm not sure what what takes precedent. Well, this looks like somebody's house. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't be in here. Might be where Brent lives, I don't know. Yeah, so lucky they got electric power, so they keep everything nice and cozy in here. The only thing is they're a little short of water, right? Yeah, so there's some cool stuff here. Like that building is pretty neat. There, you guys have run out of food. You always got something you can butcher, eh?
God, I'm telling you, they won't let me touch it. They're so jumpy. It's like, let me pet you. They're like, no, just give me the damn food.
They really spit at you if they get mad?
No, these guys are pretty, they're alpacas.
Yeah.
They don't spit as much.
Oh, one of the llamas, I guess, eh?
Yeah.
Years ago, there was, you know, people were paying lots of money for them. They figured the wool was worth a pile of money, but it was just kind of a scam because if you wanted the wool, you could buy it from Brazil for probably $1 a pound or whatever.
You're not saving any money there. Yeah. They do look fluffy though. When it snowed, I guess they were rolling around in it. They're like, oh yeah, this is great, man.
They got a good coat. I don't think they're
getting some good shots.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
So, right. So here is another building they got here that's houses the church. Apparently, I think there was a theater or something in here. Let's have a look. Yeah. The theater they have here. I guess you can come in and watch YouTube videos of Cerro Gordo. I don't know. I'm not sure what kind of movies they show here, but it was a church at one time. Hi everyone, so we're in Cerro Gordo. We're joined here by Brent Underwood.
Hey.
And nice to meet him.
Yeah.
We've been watching your channel for a while, and we're really impressed with what you've done here. And coming up here, it's a lot different than what you see on YouTube.
Yeah.
The road, we're quite surprised at the road coming up here, and maybe people don't know that, but it's not that it's really steep, but it's a long grade all the way up there and rough, and by all means come up here to visit. You've got a lot of really cool exhibits and all that. Don't come up here in a two-wheel drive car towing a trailer.
Yeah.
It's a very narrow road, and it's pretty washboardy. you know, if you got a Jeep or a pickup truck or something, there's no reason you can't get up here. But it's a narrow road and it's tough going up
You
here.
need a little clearance and you need four-wheel drive probably.
Yeah.
I think so.
You get snow up here part of the year, I guess. Eh?
Oh, yeah.
It's cold up here.
It's cold right now.
We're
Shivering.
huddled around the stove here, but it's
Yeah.
not going. But.
Yeah. I mean, there's snow on the ground right now, you know?
Yeah.
We'll get snow all the way till May. It'll be snowy for a while.
It's almost like being back in Canada. You know, we're in Death Valley. Death Valley is not very far from here, but Death Valley, the one point in Badwater Basin, it's below sea level,
Yeah.
and it's a lot warmer than it is up here.
Yes.
There's a huge difference in the altitude.
We're about 8,200 feet or 85 if you go to the peak, so we're a lot higher up than that.
And your winter temperature is about the same as it is in Canada where we live. So yeah, quite a difference in the. You think California it's warm, right?
Yeah.
Not in this part. So we're really interested in congratulations on your YouTube channel and what you've done here.
Thank you.
It's brought a lot of attention to mining and some of the controversy in this area and stuff. And a lot of people have strong opinions on it.
Sure.
And we had a bit of a chat about it. And one thing that I didn't realize is Brent doesn't have very many commercials on his channel. You know, I'm thinking, I know how many views I get on YouTube, and you have 20 times as many views as I got, so you're thinking you're getting 20 times. I think this is just a money-making machine, but it absolutely not. So you don't like to have commercials on your YouTube channel?
No, I mean, I showed you how much I made. You know?
Yeah.
It's not much.
So you're more interested in the awareness and getting people involved with it. You got a lot of volunteers that help you out.
I love Cerro Gordo like more than anything in the world, and I just want to share it with people. And as a user, I don't like watching ads. I know people will debate it. Every other YouTuber that's come up here has then said you're being dumb. Like just monetize it, and so you can spend more on the town, which I agree with. But my thought so far has just been to try to expose the town to more people, and then with that, hopefully will come other things, And so that's been my strategy so far. But at the same time, hearing what other people can do, who knows in the future. But for right now, I keep them very light if I do put them in there. Yeah. And I don't do any sponsored things or anything like that.
Yeah. No, I think like some of these some of the sponsor stuff, it gets too commercialized, and it actually turns me off too. So the ads they are what they are. I guess we appreciate the money you get from the ads because it pays some more bills. We travel around and do that.
Yeah.
And we've been actually lucky that a lot of people have given us money. When they come and you too, I guess, get some donations from here.
Yeah, donation jar.
And it's great. It really does help out.
It does.
And then so if you're interested, if you like what Brent's doing, and you're supportive of it, I'm sure he's got maybe a Patreon account or something like that where you can donate some money. And like I say, you guys are doing a great job here. Lots of volunteers, and we can show you around Cerro Gordo some really awesome drone footage. I'm sure we can get from here. As you drive up here, if you look up this one canyon, you can see this tram bucket way up in the air, and it's still full of ore. So we got some GoPro footage. That was really cool.
Yeah.
That was a pretty neat to see that far up, a long ways up the canyon.
Yeah, it's just hanging, dangling there.
Yeah. Okay, well, Brent, thanks a lot for having us up here and showing us around a little bit there. And good luck in your future endeavors in Cerro Gordo.
Yeah, thanks. You too.
All right, so next we're going to hop in the side-by-side, and I'm going to take Brent up to the very top, the height of land, and we'll show you what it looks like from the very top of Cerro Gordo Peak, looking down into the valley there towards Owens Lake. Okay, so we're up here with Brent, and this is Owens Lake, right? So it used to be a big lake, and then it went dry, right?
Yeah, it used to be about 7 miles across and 70 feet deep. I think it was 110 square miles, but these days it was once the largest dust polluter in the United States. So what you're seeing out there is
the largest dust polluter in the United States.
Seeing attempts to control the dust. And so Department of Water and Power in Los Angeles, they employ a lot of people to control the dust. So there's sprinkler systems, grid systems, vegetation. They re-flood certain areas to control the dust. And so
where does all this water come from?
The water, Owens River is above us, and so all of the snowpack melts, and it used to flow into here, but they redirected to Los Angeles for part of the LA Aqueduct program. So that's how they supply the water for Los Angeles. And that's what allowed Los Angeles to grow. They needed a water supply, so they came up here and they redirected the lake But then when it went totally dry, it produced so much dust that it just ripped down the valley and have these huge dust storms. And so now, as you can see, they're slowly reflooding certain sections of it, and they monitor it every week. And if there's too much dust in one section, they'll go and they'll flood that section that week.
So that's all the time that we have for Cerro Gordo. Once again, thank you to Brent for hosting us, letting us look around there, do some filming, and have a chat with him. And I hope some of you guys that are big fans of the town and what he's doing have learned a couple of things about Cerro Gordo that you maybe didn't know. A little different perspective. I know there's been lots of people up there documenting that, so it's one of the most filmed probably locations around in mining history. So stay tuned. Next week we got this really cool thing coming up. So we've got a thing called Super Collaboration. There's 10 of the top YouTubers all together in one place, and we're going to go underground next week with all these people. We're not going to tell you who they are. It's a video called Friends of the Darkness, Big Super Collaboration. Hope you can join us next week. Bye for now.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us this week. We have a show every week, so we'll see you next week. Check out our new merch page. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Music is by the Adits.